Ciao creative friends, my name is Joey Balestrieri. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my work table. I am back today working with some of the beads from the Sunshine USA collection from Jesse James Beads. I already did a video with like 4 projects in it. This bracelet was one of them, some earrings, some bookmarkers, some lip gloss, purse charms, backpack charms. I absolutely love this collection. As you can see, the beads are like oranges and pinks and turquoise and flamingos, and it's like vintage vibe, 1950s, you know, Miami Beach, West Palm Beach, that kind of thing, and it just suits me perfectly. But I fell in love with these little gemstone like oblong rectangle beads that are from the collection. I absolutely just love those. And on the bead strand that I've already cut apart, it's called Every Day is a Pool Day. I just took one ceramic bead. There were 2 of these on this bead strand, and then you can always count on Jesse James Beads to provide unique beads and spacers, and this is from a past magical mystery bead box, and they are just these really cool, almost like pineapple or artichoke, to me very tropical looking spacers with a nice large hole. I don't know if they will make their way into my project, but I have pulled those out from a past bead mix, and look what I have. Oh my goodness, I just got this. If you've been on my channel at all or you're familiar with my work, you know that one of my favorite mediums to do jewelry, necklaces and bracelets and earrings is my Brazilian waxed cord, and I got it in gold metallic. So this is going to be my first project. This is what it looks like. I really am I just love the way it looks because it does have that light coating of wax, but it you know, has the little metallics in there. And then I have just pulled a couple of things from my stash. I don't know if I will use them, but I just went into my stash and pulled out a couple of ceramic beads that are in the colorway of the Sunshine USA collection, and a really pretty bronze toggle that I have had for about 10 years. I've been saving it for something special, and I think these pink cylinder beads are just the thing. And I have a couple of check glass beads just left over from something that I made, and I don't know what I will be using, but I'm gonna put those out here. And then I have a whole bunch of seed beads. Again, if you're familiar with my work, then you know that I believe in the power of seed beads, and I have some clearance ones, and I just went into my stash and pulled out colors that, you know, went with the collection. But if you're in need of seed beads, Jesse James Beads has some really beautiful collections of seed beads on their websites, and like, you know, some little bundles you can get, so check that out if you need it. And then I have pretty much used all of my turquoise things, but they did have some of these little turquoise like spacer discs in this collection, and I've used them all up in my other projects, but I want to keep with the theme and the colorway that they have curated. So I just pulled these from my stash. It's a craft store item. And again, as I get going on my bracelet, this may or may not, you know, I may or may not use these things, but when I'm designing, that's kind of what I do, is go shopping in my own supplies, and I really do try to use up things that I had left over from, you know, and not waste things. But I love this collection. It was so inspiring. It did mix gold and silver, but I really love gold. So I'm kind of, you know, kind of loving sticking with the gold. So what I've done here is taken 3 equal lengths of that metallic waxed Brazilian cord, and I would say this is about 28 inches. When you start a knotting technique, it really eats up cord, and I don't mind having a little extra, because if I have small bits, I sometimes make earrings or something, but also it gives you the opportunity to do fringy little tassels at the end if you have extra. So I am going to start, I think, with my clasp here, and my idea was to tie right on to my clasp. And the fun of this bracelet is going to be that I have 6, when I fold this in half, I'm going to have 6 you know, lengths of cord to work with, which means I can keep them all 6 separate. I can bundle them in different quantities. I am planning to play with all these beads that I have just shown you and come up with something really unique. So if I tie on here, I think that I want to maybe start with a pink bead, then the green bead, and then the turquoise bead. That's kind of what I am thinking. But I'm going to get started, and once my pattern unfolds, then I will know exactly what I'm going to do. And for me, that is really the fun part of jewelry making, is the pattern play. I just love to, you know, lay out, do what I've just shown you, like go shopping in my stash, start with a collection that someone else has curated or a bead box. And this one is amazing. This one is just so gorgeous. So I'm just tying right on. You could do a jump ring here if you wanted to. And sometimes I do that, but I really want the bulk of the length of this bracelet to be beads and cord. So I don't want to add any extra length with a jump ring. So that's all I'm doing, is feeding my 3 strands through that little loop on my toggle. And I am going to tie just an overhand knot right here. And that's going to be one end of my bracelet and get me started. And I think, let's see what that looks like. I think I'm going to do a double, just to make it nice and chunky, because this is kind of a large clasp. So just get that started. And now, as I was saying, I have now 6 links on this bracelet that I can work with. And I think that I am going to start with this pink one. And the other thing that I did, because I did want to work with all 6 links, is I went into my stash and I looked for beads, and I've already tested all of them that would accommodate all of these strands. And you know, I kind of do a little test before I get started, and I really like that, but I feel like I want to do something on the end here. Okay, I love that. So I just went shopping in my little bead cap stash and looked for a bead cap that would just finish off the end of my ceramic beads, but had a really nice large hole, because I want to put all 6 strands through. And it looks like this one is going to work just beautifully. Oh, that's already so pretty. Really, really pretty. I love that. Okay, and another overhand knot. And then I am going to, I have to decide if I want to continue with a single strand or do that down here, and that's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to bring all these together a little further down on the bracelet, but for right now I am going to separate these strands on this section. I think I am going to go right into my seed beads, and I think I'm going to dump out some turquoise seed beads here. These are called green, but they really look like the turquoise colors. Like, I'll show you again, like the colors that came in the box, and they have a little bit of a like frosted finish to them. The name is not fancy, but they really match the colors in the box. And then I have these too, which these are 8/0s, and are these, what are these? Are 6/0s. These are a little bit large, but I really like them. Let's see, let's just put some things out to work with. Okay, and I think what I'll do here is separate all my strands individually and just do a little bundle of seed beads. I've done this before and I just love the effect because when it comes together it looks like almost like a beaded bead. Really adds a lot of interest and texture. So let me count. Oh, that's really pretty together. Okay, and I'll do my next one in the green. And if you're not familiar with Brazilian waxed cord, you can simply pinch and twist, and you kind of, you have to twist in the direction of the fibers, but you kind of make like a little natural needle, but you can take super glue or clear nail polish and harden the end. I just never do because I check all my beads. I don't want to, my bead holes, I don't want to struggle, you know, stringing, especially if I'm going to be working with seed beads. So I just check to make sure that everything fits, and then I just string away. Okay, so once I have all 6 of my cords strung with the seed beads, I'm just going to like gather this all into a little bundle. You can like braid it a little bit, you can, whatever you like the look of. I'm going to just kind of let it be random, but I do want to kind of mix up my green and my turquoise so that you see a little bit of everything. Just kind of switch these strands a little bit before I tie a knot. Okay, and I'm just going to get another overhand knot now with all 6 of my cords. And you do not need a tool for this, for a knotting technique, but I love to use my knotting tweezer. I feel like I have control of where those knots go, and especially when you're managing 6 cords, it can be really helpful. So when you make your overhand knot while you still have a loose loop, you just reach inside the loop with your knotting tweezer and grab all of your pieces. So whoops, something has happened here. Let's see, one didn't get through the loop. Okay, now we got it. So I'm just going to reach inside the loop and I'm going to grab all of my cords. And that's the nice thing about a knotting tweezer, is that wherever the tip of this tweezer is in your project, when you pull, that's where your knot is going to land. So let's see, I am, just before I commit, I just want to look at my little bundle, and it is a little bit random, so I'm okay with it, but I'm just going to pull. And so then you can either use your finger, or sometimes I use, with 6 it's a little hard, but sometimes I use the knotting tweezer to lock down that knot. And so we have like this beautiful little, it almost looks like a beaded bead, but it's just like a little seed bead bundle there. And then I'm just going to continue with my pattern here, and I think next I am going to separate these strands into 2s this time, because I have already checked, and 2 of these strands will fit through these little Sunshine USA little tube beads very easily. And so that's going to be my next little section. I'm going to decide, let's see, I think, let me try this as a spacer. See if I like that. Oh, that's really pretty. That's pretty. Let me do the other strands and see if I want that to be my next section. And so the Brazilian cord, when you make a knot, it can act as your spacer in between your components, sort of, that you're creating. And like I'm opting to do a lot of knots on this one, but you can let some of the cord show as well. That's really pretty in your designs too, to actually put a knot and leave some cord spacing. I do it that way sometimes too, but the colors and the beads in this were just so gorgeous. Okay, and then I'm going to do that same thing I did with the seed beads and just draw it together. Oh, that is stunning. I love it. So I'm back to my 6 strands again. I'm going to do the same thing, just reach inside and grab all the strands, just like that. Wherever the tweezer is, that's where that knot will be. Now it's a little askew because of having 6 strands, but it's still a pretty precise way to place your knots. Look at that, it's so gorgeous. Now I'm going to go back to all 6 together and I think put my green one, but I really like the kind of framing these large ceramic beads with the gold bead cap. So again, all 6 strands through the bead cap, and then my ceramic bead. There were 2 of these ceramic beads on that bead strand, but I think I'm only going to use 1 in this design. It makes such a nice statement in this lineup of beads. Okay, I'm just going to gently bring that down. Oh, wow. This is already so gorgeous. I love it. Do that same thing again. Get my knot in there. Oh, this is so pretty. I think you could even accomplish this design with like some soft flex 49 strand beading wire. I believe that it would be almost the exact same thing. You can actually knot that, or you could do crimps in between. I just really love the fluidity of the waxed cord. And let's see, I think I'm going to do this guy next. I'm gonna do another bead cap. Okay, and I'm just going to continue in this way all the way to the end of my bracelet, just alternating all of these colors and doing my overhand knots and separating these 6 strands into 6, 2 at a time, like I did for the pink beads, until I have my desired length and I've decided on my pattern. So that's what I'm going to do. I think at this point I'm going to go back to 6 strands and maybe bring in some pink seed beads and add a little section of pink seed beads to my bracelet to kind of repeat what I did on the other end. And I just matched, really everything was just to match these stunning beads from the Sunshine USA collection. And the bead strands that came in this collection were just expertly curated, and so I just, you know, use that as my jumping off point, and I just love this collection. It's so pretty. So I'm going to do that same thing again, just continue stringing and knotting and reorganizing my strands after each knot into 2s or individuals until I reach my desired length. And so I'll pause here. It'll just be a second for you, and we'll come back and finish this together. I had a little bit of commotion around my work table today. So when I was finishing the pattern on this bracelet, I also because it was not quiet enough to start filming again, I also made a whole bunch of charms and a pair of earrings. I did one of the earrings and I'll show you what I did, and we're going to finish this off together. And also, I'm so inspired by these beads, the shapes, the colors. I just love this Sunshine USA collection. I really do. I'm so inspired by it, and I had a lot of these, not a lot, but enough to do another bracelet design with these beads. And so I've actually already started that, and it's off in the wings. But we'll finish this one first, and I did extra charms, and I'm going to show you what I did on the last one. So I did these extra charms because since I've designed another bracelet, if they don't get used on this one, they will be ready to go for the other design. So I am just going to finish this off by, I'll show you what I did. I just kind of looped it like this to check my length, and I have it perfect. So I'll just show you what I did here. I put 3 of the strands through the loop on the bar of my toggle, and 3 of them are out, and I'm going to tie an overhand knot. And then what I do is wrap this around. Let me show you. I pull it tight, but I want my toggle bar to be sitting up like that because it's easier to put it on. So what I do is wrap this around this way and back this way and tie another overhand knot, and that kind of stabilizes it and makes that bar makes it you know, sit up. And so this metallic waxed cord is a little bit stiffer, I would say, than the ones that are, you know, just dyed and not metallic. But I love it. I think it just turned out really great. And even though the wax on these kind of grabs on and you know, really makes the knot secure, I will probably, I always do, put a little dot of beater's glue or like GS Hypo Cement, and I will let these hang out until I put my charms on, because sometimes I tie knots and fringe them. Sometimes I just cut them off completely. I just am not sure yet, so I'm still playing with the design. So, but let me just try and my length and try my little bar. You can remove a knot from waxed cord. It's not easy, but you can do it. So I just want to see if this is going to be fairly easy to clasp, and it's not bad. And I got my length perfect. Oh my goodness, this is the prettiest bracelet. I just love it. I know it looks funky with these hanging out, but there. I love this solid bronze toggle. I have had this in my stash forever. I purchased several of these at a bead shop that we used to have here in Orlando, and it's gone now, and I've kind of saved them because they are so pretty. But I'm going to take this off now, lay it back on the mat, and have a look at placement for these charms. Before I do that, I will show you exactly how I did all of these, and I made tiny little jump rings with this plier right here, with a bail making plier, and I use the smallest loop to make these little jump rings, because when I am doing charms, I just like the movement that a jump ring adds. And so I've just used like the beads in my colors that were left over, and I even took out a couple of these little guys from the collection and put jump rings on them. And like I said, I'm going to play with the placement. I have a really gorgeous diamond cut gold filled jump ring, and I'm going to use that to attach everything. But I had 2 of these flowers on the bead strand, the Every Day is a Pool Day bead strand, and then I have just used those and some gold ball head pins and a little wire wrapped loop to make another little fun charm. So I'll do another one of those with you. I have the ball head pin right here, and I'm just going to copy this one exactly. I started with a gold seed bead, and then a pink one, and then a turquoise one, and then my little flower facing down, and then a green seed bead, and it just looks like that. And then this is a wire wrapped loop like I did on everything else, so I'm just going to get a hold of that head pin and put a bend there, and then place my round nose pliers down near the tip. If you can see, all of these loops are really small because I'm putting that tiny little jump ring, and it's just like a sweet little charm, so I don't need a big loop there. And just make that loop. I love my bent chain nose pliers for this. Just get it going. And these ball head pins that I have are really fine gauge, like 22 or maybe even 24. They're really fine gauge wires, so I have to use my second pair of pliers and pull really tight because it's so small. And just trim away that last little bit there, and just make sure that nothing sharp on a bracelet. See, I do still feel it. Just an extra little tuck. Okay, so that's how I did all the little charms. So I think I am going to come right about here with this beautiful jump ring. I love these. This was an Amazon find, and I really think they're pretty. And so my trick for adding charms on is not to put my jump ring through a loop that restricts it, but I put it around the circumference of my bracelet like that. And that way my charms spin 360 degrees all the way around, and no matter which way I put the bracelet on, nothing gets stuck or kinked, and like my charms move and I can enjoy them. And I'm just going to thread on some of these and see how it looks. Like I said, I am so super excited about the second bracelet. This one's gorgeous. That one is equally as gorgeous. And I had to pause a little bit, and I was looking at everything. And since I had all the beads out and the colors, and I was really enjoying like adding the dimension with the seed beads, I decided to keep going. So that is what I'm going to do next for sure. So I just need to decide, like I already put my flamingo charm on this bracelet. So I was thinking that maybe I would just do the little crab on this one. But I also really like this little, I just had those little check glass beads that the colors were just perfect. So that made a pretty charm too. That's 4. Let's see. The nice thing about doing this with a jump ring is if I want to take some off or add some, I can. And I did put it here so that it doesn't, hang in front of my clasp when I go to put it on and off. That's pretty cute. It's pretty busy though. Maybe, let's see. Sometimes what I do is just wear them for a little bit and then decide if I want to leave them all, and I think that's what I'm going to do. And then here I will put a little bit of beater's glue in this knot. I'm going to use my GS Hypo Cement. I went to cut my cords here, and just because I don't have that precision tip, I wasn't comfortable. So I do have a little tube of Beadalon bead stringing glue. It works just as well as GS Hypo Cement, and I think it's essentially the same thing. But before, let me just show you, that's why you need the precision tip, because I want to make sure that there is a little bit of glue right here before I trim. And that's so much better. Oh my gosh, I hate struggling with a broken tool or a broken tube or anything like that. So I just took a paused the video, and because I really love this bracelet. The work so far is beautiful. It's a wonderful piece, and I don't want to come to my final knot and have a problem. So I I'm going to switch to that until I get a new tube of GS Hypo Cement. And then I had used these cutters to trim this side, and I'm just going to let that dry for a moment, and we will make the earrings while I'm doing that. So let me show you this adorable pair of earrings. This is just a really simple linear kind of drop featuring those beads that coordinate with the bracelet and with a little bit of movement on the end. And if you've been around my channel, you know that there's no ear wire on my earrings, because most of the time, I mean, I do have some fancy ear wires, but most of the time I do this. I have these. This was the pair of earrings I was wearing today. So I have several pairs of these gold-filled interchangeable ear wires, and I just change out my drops as I create them. And so this little pair of earrings, they're so cute. They were in this video. They coordinate with this bracelet, and as I said, if I didn't say it earlier, I will link that below in case you missed it. But I have a tray, and I just keep my drops in that tray in my jewelry wardrobe, and when I switch from one pair to the next, this is what happens. So it's, whoops, if I can hold on to it, this is what happens. They just slide right on, and I have my next pair ready. So let's put this one together. The little ear wire is in waiting. So I'll start with the little drop that I created first. I put everything in this dish. I put one of my gold seed beads, and then one of these 6-0 Picasso seed beads, and then this little turquoise teardrop. This was on the, I believe I've cut everything open, but I think these were on the Pool Day bead strand that I'm working from. And let's see, that's for the drop, and I did put a little gold right at the top. I want to make sure my two earrings match. And then I'm just doing another wire wrapped loop the same way that I did the little component, just exactly the same thing. Just give it a 90-degree bend and stay down right to the tip of my pliers, because I don't need a large loop there, and bring that wire over, rotate that barrel out of my way, and just make sure my loop is centered and neat. And then, because this ball head pin is so tiny, it's a very fine gauge wire, I have more control with my second pair of pliers. And I did not do messy wraps. I do tend to do neater wraps, so I'm going to repeat the same thing here and just wrap down to that gold bead. Move these. Those are my older cutters that I use. I keep a pair of older, kind of, I call them junky cutters, but just for thicker things. So I keep my blade nice and sharp on my more precision cutters for these little fine applications. And I just want to get a hold of it and tuck it. And so that little drop is ready for the ear wire. And then I used my 1.5 millimeter one-step looper. Many of you have seen me use this before. I especially like this when I'm doing earrings. It's great for that, or even links where I need all the loops to be consistent and be the same. Whoops. And let's see. What did I do? I started with one of these little cylinder beads, and then one of my gold beads, and these little turquoise discs, I believe were also on that bead strand. I've been playing with these beads so much I can't remember which elements came from where, but that's just that simple little stack. And then I'm going to repeat that same thing, this time putting the wire through the guide hole in the back of the one-step looper. And I just want to pull this back a tiny bit so I don't put any pressure on my beads before I make the loop. And that gives me a chance to also make sure everything is straight. And this is ready to connect to here. So just open that bottom loop and add my little drop that I made, and this little sweet, fun, flirty, colorful little pair of earrings is done. It's just that fast, so easy. Simple loops, a wire wrapped loop, and just like with beads this beautiful and this colorful, it is just so fun to just stack the beads and, you know, create a gorgeous pattern. So like a little pair of earrings like this, they just light up your face. Like even if you don't have on much makeup, this is just like so fun to wear, and it can be your only accessory. But I love, in the summer heat, I just love earrings and a lightweight bracelet. You're polished but not, you know, overly done. So that little pair is done. I love it. Let's come back to this and check and see if we're dry, and I believe we are. So I'm going to do that same thing again. I'm going to use my junkier cutters just because I have scissors that are a little bit larger, and just get in there as close as I can and cut away. Sometimes I will like make fringe out of this or add some beads, but I decided on this one that this bracelet has so much texture and just so much beauty to it, and especially with the little charms that I added, I just decided that it would be better to just have a really simple ending on that toggle. So it is so gorgeous. I am absolutely in love with this little design. I will wear this an awful lot, and I love even this little charm here. When the way that it moves, it really looks like a little flower. So I have these few, let me put this little jump ring on here. I have these few charms, and I think they are going to get used on the next bracelet design. So as I said, while there was some commotion and I wasn't able to film, I started working on another bracelet design. In fact, let me make a little space and put these components here, and let me bring in this one. I really love this metallic waxed Brazilian cord, and so I'm going to do another design with it. Let me just kind of show you where I am going. I was just playing with using those cylinder beads to make little bridges on a bracelet, almost like a ladder, or bridging from one side to the next. And so I have done a whole bunch of those components, and I did decide to wire wrap them. And I went into my Jessie James beads organizing bin, and just pulled out some things that work with the Sunshine USA collection that may or may not get used. And I just pulled out a toggle, and I have some bead caps here for whatever, in case I use one of those. But I did want to share with you one thing. As I said, on this bracelet, there were 2 of these ceramic beads on the bead strand, and I just love them. My second one had a couple, can you see, it had a couple of little chips on the ceramic finish, and I really love it, and I really wanted to use it, and I think I want it for my second bracelet. So can you see my little gold polka dots? That was my solution. I have this gold leafing pin, and it is so much fun. It's like a chrome mirror finish, if you can see. And I did polka dots, so that way I could do polka dots over the couple of little areas where my finish was missing. But it adds another little design element, and it is super easy. So I have a little plastic bag here where I have primed it. So with these pins, you just give it a shake. This side is a really fat tip, and this side is a skinny tip. And I am just going to, not going to do this on my mat, but all you do is just prime it a little bit by pushing the tip down on a piece of plastic or paper. And I'm just going to come right here I don't know if you can see. Try to get it close and just do a little, just make a little dot. Get that gold flowing a little bit. And you can go back, like you can make your first dot and then you can go back, you know, let that dry a little bit and add some more. And then I just did the dots, you know, even where there was no spot of the finish missing, and just went around and just filled this. Let me make this one a really big dot. Just like made a polka dot bead. And I mean, honestly, even if I didn't have some little chips, I think this is adorable. But this is just a really fun way to add more color, more style, change up a bead if you want to. And I'm just gonna let it dry. And like I say, you can go back. It's just that easy. Let it dry, it stays on. Now, if you make a mistake, if you wipe it right away, you can like get it off of there before it dries and try again. But I'm just gonna set this little guy off to the side to dry while I work on the bracelet. So when I get to that point, I'll be able to, you know, have it ready. So I can link these below. This is an Amazon find and they are really cool. They're really, really fun, and it just gives you a lot of possibility. On a fluted bead like this, you could even do stripes. You could put a gold line. You could put a gold line in the fluting all the way around the bead and just add a completely different look and texture to a bead. They write on ceramic, glass, shell, plastic, acrylic, like pretty much everything, pretty much all surfaces. So it's just a really fun thing. I'm not much of an artist with paint, and I tend to make a mess. Even making polka dots, you can see I have paint everywhere, but it's really, really fun. And you know, I love not losing a bead and not having like a chipped ceramic bead in my design. So I'm going to jump back over here, and literally I was just playing with my pattern here, and what I did is I saved out 2 beads for each end of my cylinder beads, because I think that's the way I'm going to bring my strands together to get to the clasp. And then I have already done all of these little components, but I saved one to do with you just to show you what I did. Let's see, is that's not going to be a long enough piece of wire. Let me get another piece of wire. I am using my Softflex gold craft wire. I love this because it has an anti-tarnish coating on it. And, you know, it just really lasts a long time. It's really easy to work with. It's just a beautiful wire. And I love the 20 gauge because it's very easy on the hands. So there's a little piece of that. And I'm just going to do the same exact thing, just a standard wire wrapped loop. Just come down a little bit on that wire and give it a 90-degree bend. And on this one, I did kind of a medium-sized loop, so I'm going to place that wire just a little bit further down on my pliers. Okay, and then this component consists of a turquoise Picasso 8/0 seed bead, sorry, 6/0 seed bead, one of my little tubes, and another one, and then it's simple, that simple, and I just did another wire wrapped loop. So these are my little ladder rungs or bridges. Want to make sure both ends are tucked, and looks like I need to straighten this loop out a tiny bit. Perfect. So my last component is done, and now I'm going to let's see, how am I going to do this? This is a little bit different. I am going to do knotting on this design, but I have to decide if I want to do the body. I think that is what I'm going to do. I'm sorry, I'm kind of thinking out loud. I think I'm going to build the body of my bracelet because this is such a different method of knotting to, you know, strands like this. And then I will see about my length and then do my final beads here and my final things after I get most of my length correct, because I was using for spacers these Miyuki 6.0 round beads. That's what you see here. And I really like those in between, and so I use the turquoise on my components. So I've got these 6.0 green Picasso seed beads so that all of my colors are going to appear in the stringing pattern. And just go ahead and string one little bridge. So let's see, put a green, a pink, a green, a component, and then I'm going to continue that way, green, pink, green component, and get these all on this side, and then I'll come back and string the other side exactly the same way, and then I'll come back and show you where I'm at and what we're going to add next. So using the bracelet that really fits me well, I think I have my length, and I've gone ahead and put a knot on this end. A little bit hard to get my correct tension because the other end is open as well, but this is a little bit of a different design and a different approach to a knotted bracelet, so I'm just going to go with it. I also did get out some 6.0 galvanized gold seed beads as well, just to add a little bit of gold presence as I taper down towards my clasp. So I think it looks really pretty, just kind of evenly mixing the colors in the bracelet and making the gold, the turquoise, the lime green, and the pink kind of alternate evenly. So that's what I have, and now I can go ahead and do my knot on this end and then decide on my last beads that taper towards the clasp. What a cool design. It's so pretty. So just an overhand knot, and I am going to grab for my knotting tweezer. I love it. So what I'm thinking is to do my boho bead on one end by itself, and then put my crystal and my ceramic bead together on the other end. So those have nice large holes. I can easily fit all 4 strands in there, and that is pretty cool. I'm going to do an overhand knot right here. And then let's come to this end, and I think I will start with the crystal. Do I want to do the green or the, yeah, I think I'll start with the crystal. And these crystals have a really nice large hole. That's one thing nice about Jesse James beads, is they You do get a lot of large hole beads and crystals in their mixes and strands, and you know, they're really fun to work with for a design like this. And I really think that if you like this design, but maybe you're not used to the waxed cord or not a fan of it, I think that you could accomplish this with the Soft Flex 49 strand beading wire just as well. I think that would be really cool, because you can actually knot that too if you want to knot it, but you could even do crimp tubes in between as your spacers, where on the wax cord I'm doing knots. And I'm going to do the same thing on this bracelet that I did on the other, and just put a bead cap on either side of my ceramic bead. I just think it will look nicer. It is a beautiful fluted ceramic bead and these would have made really pretty earrings too, but I did those spoonbill beaded bead earrings, so I decided to separate them and use them as elements in my bracelet, like focal beads. Oh wow, that is so pretty. And I have just enough length. I guessed my cord length just perfect to add my clasp on. You know, with knotting, I never really know if I'm going to do a lot of knotting or a little knotting, or leave some of the cord showing. So I always give myself extra, but look how gorgeous this bracelet is. And it is going to be perfect once I tie on my clasp. And if it turns in any direction, I have those beautiful focal beads. And honestly, you guys, I wish you could feel this, because this kind of cuff just feels so good on my wrist. And you know, cuff bracelets are a huge 2024 jewelry trend, and it's one that I love. I have vintage ones that I have never gotten rid of, and I do cycle through wearing them, but they are right on trend this year. So this is kind of a boho cuff. I mean, kind of a boho take on a cuff bracelet. I absolutely love it. And it was so much fun to create. So with no further ado, let me grab my toggle clasp. This is just a solid brass clasp that I purchased at a bead show. I just love these clasps, and I felt like for this bracelet, something a little bit larger would be pretty. And the jump rings are solid on this. So I think what I'm going to do is tie this end right onto the toggle. And I like to do the same that I did on the other bracelet, just separate the strands and feed two of them through the hole, and then do a couple of overhand knots. So I'm going to finish this off exactly the way that I did the other one. I will add a little bit of glue to both of these knots before I trim or decide. I will have a look. I always leave my cords kind of hanging out until I look at everything to see if I want to add some beads or some fringiness to it, and let that, you know, let it stay as part of the design of the bracelet. Okay, on to the charms. When I was paused, I did make another charm, just the same thing that I have done, and I think I will grab another one of those diamond cut gold filled jump rings. just they're a good size, and you know, have a look and see where I want to put my charms. And I'm kind of thinking on this end that has the boho bead. And I don't know, I love this little flamingo. I'm a flamingo girl, but I did put a flamingo on this bracelet, so I don't know, maybe I'll start off without her because she's pink. So I'm just going to open this, and I think I just do my same little trick of attaching that jump ring around the entire circumference. And then let's see, I'll feed on the turquoise, then this little component that's pink in the middle, and then the little flower. Oh, that is so beautiful. I love it. I don't know if I want to like add a few little beads and knots and fringiness to this side. And I kind of think that I do. I think it would be really pretty on this one. So let me grab these all and pull them together so they're not separated. And you see where I tied it onto the clasp, they were separated, so I just want them to be like in a little group, in a bunch. And so I'm going to put, and that looks nice too with this gold metallic to have like a nice chunky knot there. And now I can decide if I just want to do like fringiness or if I want to add some beads. I'm going to see if this end is dry. I can trim that away, and then it'll give me a good sense of what I want to do. Let's see if my scissors will get close enough. And I am going to save these little tails because that is the perfect length to make like fringy little earrings, or I always just tuck my scraps inside my tube. So let me put this on and just see what I think of it. Oh, that is so pretty. Let me slip this one off. I have a little bit going on with the bracelets from this collection. Oh wow, that is so pretty. So that would be pretty to have some little beads and fringiness on this side. Oh, this is so gorgeous, and this feels so good on my wrist. Okay, so I'm going to string on some beads. I think I'm going to go back to these little pink beads that I used in the other bracelet. They just look great with the gemstone beads. So I'm just going to string some on and tie a little knot and trim. And I'm going to do I'll maybe do all 4 strands, maybe 3. Let's see how it looks. Okay, last one, and I'm going to tie my last knot and then make some little fringy tassels on the end of each one of these strands with my knotting tweezer. And I've been doing a double knot, and I did count out 7 seed beads for each one. I like the odd number, and I decided to do 2 of the strands in the pink and then add in a green and a turquoise, again just to keep all the colors that I have in the design going. And so now I am going to use my knotting tweezer
and clean up
and
my
just
mess.
separate the fibers on the end of each of these little tassel or fringiness. Fringiness, is that a word? I like it. One of our viewers calls dangles and things floofies, so I think these are appropriately called floofies. I'm telling you, you guys, we have some really, really adorable, creative people in this community. I can tell by the comments and the creative words and the jokes that I read in the comments under the videos, and it's just heartwarming. It makes me feel like I'm, you know, sitting here with all of you and not sitting here at my table by myself. Okay. That is so pretty. Look at that. It has like a little boho tassel on the end. Oh my, this is a beautiful bracelet. It is so stunning. I absolutely love it. I love this one too. I have to tell you, you know, I set out literally with this design in mind to make one bracelet with this collection. But when you have beads that are this beautiful and this inspiring, that's what happens. More designs keep coming, more ideas keep coming. Beads like this do inspire creativity. Why am I struggling? There we go. Yeah, beads like this really do inspire creativity, and I have had so much fun with this collection. And I really would like to do some more things with it. So there's my little earrings. So if you are interested, you can shop this collection. I'll put links in the description box below. I have a discount code which you can use on the website, or even if you want to subscribe to the Jessie James Beads monthly magical mystery bead box. But you can buy these things individually. I believe the little flamingos and the crabs were a separate little charm set, and this bead strand was something you could purchase separately. The pool, every day is a pool day bead strand, you can just go and purchase that. So, you know, this is not a box, it is a limited edition collection, but it is absolutely stunning. I was so inspired by the colors and the bead shapes. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope you picked up a little technique or an idea. And if you're not subscribed to my channel and you haven't tapped the bell notification, it would be a great way to support my work if you like my content. And also, don't forget to give a thumbs up, because it really helps YouTube to, you know, show my videos to others and know that I'm doing a good job and I have an audience. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope everybody's safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. Ciao, jewelry making friends.